Welcome to the VIFF Podcast. This is your chance to get the inside track from the people behind the films you love and the films you are yet to discover. This podcast was recorded on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. Recorded during the 43rd edition of the Vancouver International Film Festival, these conversations take us behind the scenes with the creators, bringing their work to the big screen. I'm Natalie Murao, and today I'm joined by Jerome Yoo, director and writer of Mongrels, your first feature.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. We're going to talk about dogs, casting, fate, music, head bobbing, dancing, and bad roommates. So stick around. I was thinking about like how to open up this conversation. And I just was thinking like, how did I first meet you? Right? And like, when did we first meet? I feel like it was with your short film, Bulgogi Burrito.
Bulgogi Burrito. That's such a throwback.
Yeah,
I think it was at Vancouver Asian Film Festival then,
I think so.
right?
Did you direct that one as well?
No, I didn't. It was Sanjay Jit, I believe, a director in town that's also good friends with my producer, Nach Mehta. And it's so bad. I'm pretty sure Nach was involved in the cinematography of it, but it was a fun, quick little project for Ma'am, I believe.
Yeah,
It's like the
maybe.
60-second
Yeah, it's
ones.
only 1 minute. I remember being really short.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute, 30 seconds, but it
Yeah.
was one of those really fun projects where I think yeah, it was just we wanted to be silly, we wanted to be fun, so bulgogi burrito.
Yeah, I just remember like you hoisting up the burrito at the end and there was fireworks.
Fireworks. Was it real fireworks? It
I
was
think so.
what?
Yeah. And I don't know, I just like it was only 1 minute, but I remember like really remembering that and it was really strong, just really I don't know, it's just really different, really original, I felt.
I think the creatives behind that. I guess, the bulgogi aspect of it maybe was my pitch, but then I think that whole sequence of I think I played a character that's obsessed with this
Bulgogi
burrito, right?
burrito, yeah,
I
really
think
good.
that's from the mind of Sanjay. Like
Okay.
he has some imaginative ideas.
Yeah, it was like you were playing like a Korean man who came to Canada and was just like enamored by the concept of a bulgogi burrito.
Fusion food.
Yeah, fusion food.
Yeah. It's I think I had a fedora hat on
Yeah, I
maybe.
think. But yeah, from 1 minute short film to a 2 hour first feature, I think you've come a long way since bulgogi burrito.
Gosh, I suppose I did.
But yeah, let's talk about Mongrels because it's really big. It's really ambitious. I watched it last weekend or 2 weekends ago,
Mm.
and then I remember like I think I paused it halfway through. I was like, "Oh my God, like this is like how did you even come up with this?" I feel like it was so ambitious and so um like I don't know, for someone doing like a first feature, I feel like that the whole concept might be daunting. And like maybe just for listeners or viewers, like to give some context about what I'm talking about. Your film, I'll try to summarize it my way. You can also correct me, please.
Please.
It's about a Korean immigrant family in rural Canada, and they've recently come to Canada, but the mother has recently passed away, and so these three characters, these three family members, are trying to process the grief in their own different ways, and
Hmm.
we kind of get three different chapters of how they're processing this grief and their emotions, and at the same time, there's these wild dogs that are kind of infesting the town and causing a nuisance, and so they have to deal with that as well. Did I, did I
Yeah,
summarize
that
what you
that
think?
fits the bill.
Okay. So yeah, uh, let's see. I feel like I want to just ask you about like where did that seed of the idea come from? Was it this imagery of dogs, or was it the idea of processing grief? Like, what was that initial seed?
It's interesting. I feel like I've had to think about this deeper as of late because I'm being asked this question a lot, of course. And to be completely honest, I don't know exactly what it was. It just feels all like a blur to me,
Mm,
like an amalgamation of things that drew me into this story. I think from my recollection, there was this clear image, and it is the last scene of the film. Um, it felt like there was this whole new world in front of the characters that they
mm-hmm.
have to step forward into
Mm-hmm.
an experience and figure out, adapt. And it was such a daunting image, but I knew from that image that as long as they had each other,
Mm-hmm.
this would be an exploration that's worth taking on.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they're together, we see the family fractured at first and trying to them constantly trying to sort out their relationship as they battle their own personal griefs. And yeah, I think it was that image that drew me in. And then it's fragments of my memories growing up in Canada since I was one that
Mm-hmm.
kind of filled those empty blank spaces that led up to it. Of course, it's very fictional, but it definitely has my memories imbued in
I
moments. Yeah, it feels like it's like an essence of everything, a nuance.
Okay. Are there any examples of certain childhood memories?
Well, one example would be my relationship with my dad.
Oh,
It's not a perfect, I mean, it's so far from the truth. My dad's, he isn't so extreme, of course.
okay.
But then I think we've, gone through a troubled phase in our life where we were at odds with one another. And I think deep down, it's that love between family members that draw us in, but also we can really hit that ceiling of frustration and
Mm-hmm.
anger, all the emotions
Mm-hmm.
because you love and care about them so much, but we're not landing on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So then when our expectations are let down of one another, then I think it can go in such a extreme uh we can convey it in such extreme ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just as an example of that relationship. Oh, what if it had gone to the extremes that it could have been?
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
were we so divided over? And what if we looked at that
Mm-hmm.
divide, the reason why we were so divided,
Mm-hmm.
and what could have we done to reconcile over it?
Mm. Yeah, I feel like with family members, there's no filter, right? Kind of,
Exactly.
because there's just that innate, sense of you're on the like you're bonded, right?
Yes,
For like
yes.
your
You
family,
can't
your
get away
blood.
from
You can't
them.
get away from them, so you can be as honest or blunt as you can be, right?
That's right.
But I do like this idea of like the what if, I guess, and the
Mm-hmm.
what if it were taken to that extreme,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like the father character at first I was kind of skeptical, like, oh, am I gonna like him, because
Mm.
he is quite extreme, and like his relationship with the son is fractured and you can see that, but you're also hoping for like, okay, why, like, when are they gonna see eye to eye, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, right?
Mm-hmm.
um and I'm curious, how was that process and finding someone to play the father, because are you trying to pick someone that's like your father, or and someone to cast
No,
like kind of you as the son character?
he's so different from my dad, actually. My dad's quite a softie,
Oh,
actually, in
okay.
real life. And I think I was really looking for someone that looked exhausted with life
Okay.
because, in a way, he is. He's lost someone that's very dear and close to him,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the only person in his life that really truly understands him for who he is. And with that hole, the children aren't able to quite fill it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see him kind of uh, a broken man,
Mm-hmm.
really. And I was seeking out that broken man. I looked all across Canada. It was a bit of a difficult time finding an actor over here because I also know the limited pool of Korean actors based in
Mm-hmm.
Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I went over to Korea,
Mm-hmm.
did a casting call there. I saw a lot of really great actors, but no one really fit the bill for that image of this broken down character that I wanted. And it was quite fortunate. It felt like fate because there was one actor, a bigger actor, that read the script, really liked it, wanted to do it, but he was also being honest with me. When I first read the script, this is the actor that first came to my mind, Jae-hyun Kim, who plays the role of Sunny. But he was also an actor that had become jaded with the industry. He
Oh,
had been hurt by the industry,
wow.
and he had left his life as an actor behind to move down to the countryside
Oh,
and live a bit of this lonely life by himself.
wow.
And that's how he described it to me. And instantly I thought, I must
This is
meet this man.
this is the guy.
He had no phone. He
Okay.
didn't know how to access a computer properly. So I had to have my associate producer over there that's based there that was helping me just relay communications. He drove down 2 hours into the countryside to
Wow.
find him with the help of the actor that was referring him. And yeah, he got me on a call with Jaehyun,
Okay.
and I think we had about a 2 hour call where he had read the script, and he could really relate a lot with the character of the life that Jaehyun as the act he's going through in real life,
Mm-hmm.
relating it to what Sunny, the
Mm-hmm.
character, is going through. This life of loneliness,
Mm-hmm.
anger, and frustration. Um, when I first met him over video call, I instantly knew that, yeah, there was no audition. I knew he would be the
Oh,
right person.
wow.
And
That's crazy.
fortunately, he came out of retirement to do this one thing. Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it was really I had like it was one of those things where I was so backed into a corner where I'm like, who am I gonna cast if, not him?
Yeah.
And so I think I really just yeah, had to just try my best to convince him over that phone call. And he's this type of man that rather than this fulfillment of like creativity or art and all this, I think he just really wants to experience life. And
Mm-hmm.
he thinks that, oh, the fact that the script landed on him, he's retired and lives 2 hours away from Seoul, but I'm still coming to him. There must be something to this where
Mm.
our meeting is fate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all part of like the course of life,
Is
he's
it
meant to go
Inyeon?
on. He's very spiritual and
Yeah.
very, obsessed with the spontaneity of life, of
Yeah.
what comes to him, these
Yeah.
different energies, and
Okay.
how he navigates all of that. So I thought he is the most, uh, how should I say, just the deepest person I think I've ever gotten to work with
Yeah.
and know.
Yeah.
Because he could talk 2 hours straight without me chiming in and giving him a break about
Okay.
life.
That's kind of a dad thing to do though.
I guess so.
Right?
Yeah. But in this like such a deep way that's
Yeah.
like he'll look at me as like, why do you think we're here right now? What do you think
Okay.
brings us to this moment?
Yeah.
You know? And he'll just go deep down at that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to capture
Yeah,
the
his
essence of
essence.
who this man
Yeah,
is,
he's a very strong aura,
Yeah,
it sounds
yeah.
like.
Very strong
So
aura.
did you learn like from was there stuff you learned from him?
Yeah, absolutely. I had just actually before I flew in for VIFF, I met him in Ulsan, which is where he's living right now, and we would just talk about, the whole process of having completed this film. And I feel like I'm always, as a filmmaker, in such a rush to
Mm.
hit career goals, do bigger things, do better things. And just hearing how Jaehyun lives his life of just letting things organically happen and what can, the sort of the emotions, the natural emotions that you can get from that, whether it's happiness, sadness, fear. Um, as he says it, I think when you allow things to happen more naturally rather than, with motivation or conviction, try to
Mhm.
force your way in somewhere,
Mhm.
you're able to just be a lot more fulfilled while going through those different emotions in life.
Mhm.
But yeah, for him, it's really important that he really engages and takes in that full emotion, whatever that might be.
Mhm.
It's very philosophical, isn't it, in
Like
some
it's kind of
ways?
sounding like your film though, because I feel like your film at the end, that's the whole point is to allow oneself to feel, to be present in the emotions because so much of them throughout the movie is, kind of suppressing this grief that they're having with the mother and kind of suppressing these emotions of sadness or anger, disappointment, and yeah, allowing oneself to be present and feeling it. And it kind of sounds like
Totally.
that.
Maybe that's me. I'm like coping with the real things in my life by making film, distracting myself.
Yeah, but that's awesome though that Jaehyun agreed to do it, and I feel like it's a yeah, like it was the right time, right place for you to be meeting and to be having like I don't know. He sounds like a really interesting guy that
I just
I
got
want to learn
really,
from too.
yeah, I got really, really lucky by meeting him.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I think uh, he's a huge part of this film and what makes this film.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've been able to meet someone that's able to quite have this animalistic quality,
Mm-hmm.
is maybe the best way I
Yeah,
could
yeah,
put it.
yeah, yeah.
I think that's a
Oh,
good word.
yeah,
I needed the image of the person
yeah,
to personify
yeah,
this wild animalistic
yeah,
sort of essence.
yeah.
And I thought Jaehyun had it, and he really carried us. So really grateful for him.
Yeah. And how was it with finding the character of Haju?
Hajun, I needed someone, an actor, that could also speak English, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't very easy in Korea. I found. So I saw a lot of, really a lot of, teenage boys that fit, the bill for Hajun. And when I met Toyoung, or Danu,
Mm.
uh, when I met Danu, I think he had this very, really strong strength in the sense of Sunny is a very ironclad character, you know.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't like to show his
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And I thought that maybe Hajun is this in between the softness and the tenderness of the mother,
Mm-hmm.
as well as him trying to pursue what the image of what his father wants him to be. So when I first saw him, yeah, I thought he really just embodied all of that.
Mm.
So when I first met him, we had a really great talk about he was just graduating high school at the time.
Oh wow.
So it really just he was of the age of what I imagined Hajun to
Yeah.
be. And yeah, just had good chemistry in the room.
Okay.
Not even just the performance, but just the discussions we would have about life.
Mm-hmm.
He was a former K-pop trainee.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because I also have a bit of a background where there was once upon a time where I was recruited to
Okay.
maybe try and train for K-pop, and it turned out to be the same company.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
Can you say the
yeah.
company? Don't say the company name, right?
It's
Well,
pretty
that's
embarrassing now that I think
but
about
you have
it.
this alter universe where you and
Maybe we could have. Well,
you've been in the same
we're 10 years
band.
apart, so we wouldn't be in the same band. But maybe I could have been a senior.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, like as soon as we talked about that, it was like, oh, no way.
Yeah.
Maybe this is also fate.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'm supposed to meet you,
Yeah.
my junior, in another world.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So then, well, okay, going back to how you said like he kind of embodies this like softness but coldness. And when you said that, the first image that comes to mind is the scene where he's peeling the apples.
Mm.
And then his dad and the uncle or the friend, they're talking in the background, and we're still staying with him the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he just doesn't say anything, right? He's just
Yes.
cutting apples. But I
Yes.
thought that was really strong because I feel like, yes, it's almost like the dad is in the background in his mind, telling him like this is what you have to be, this is how you have to work, and these are the struggles and all these things in the back of his mind. But he's also cutting apples,
Mm-hmm.
that's such a gesture of care, right, in the household.
That's right.
And yeah, like when you mentioned that, that's like the first thing that comes to mind. But I'm wondering, like, was there any other like kind of in your eyes pivotal scenes for that character in the film?
For Hajun's character,
Yeah.
to me, in my mind, a pivotal scene seems like when the friends, approach him for the first time with very open arms.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't quite met him before.
Mm-hmm.
Only Noah has, who's the Lee family sponsors that family's son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's of the same age.
Mm-hmm.
And there are all these other kids who, even when June is a foreigner and not from here, he's of a different background, which, of course, at the time, especially in prairie towns in Canada, it might not be very common. So then they could easily be an outsider. But we see him so easily being taken in with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that feels like such a pivotal scene because oftentimes I think, in a lot of immigrant stories, we see the pushback and we see, them being always an outcast. And of course, that's true, but also the opposite can be true.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, I think the character of Hajun didn't feel like he quite fit in or was not as easily accepted even back home
Mm-hmm.
in how I imagine him to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think to find acceptance here that's even more warm and embracing than even back home in his motherland, I think to me that also feels like a pivotal moment for Hajun where he's going through these different emotions and feelings for the first time in his life, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when I saw them approaching him, I thought, oh, this could be that moment where they just start bullying him, possibly. But no, you subverted that expectation, which I liked. And yeah, they really just do embrace him, and it's nice to see him like have those moments of happiness and
Mm-hmm.
joy,
Mm-hmm.
because in the household, much of it is he's feeling very weighed down.
It's like jail in the house.
Yeah, I guess so.
And it's
But
like freedom is outside of the home.
yes, but then also you have Hana, who is
Mm-hmm.
in this household as well, and I feel like um, their relationship is also really beautiful.
Mm.
Like I think about the clipping the nails,
Nails.
and then Hana also like being like time me when I hold my breath underwater.
Yeah.
Like it's those little like actions and little moments that kind of show their bond.
Mm.
But despite the bleak situation that they're in. So yeah, I want to kind of touch on Hannah,
Mm-hmm.
the
Hannah,
actress. She's so good.
sane,
Yeah,
sane Jin.
saying yeah,
She's like a revelation to me
yeah.
because I'm shocked that we found her here
Oh
in Vancouver.
yeah.
She's local.
Okay.
She's never acted in her
Oh
entire life.
okay.
And the sort of fun backstory to this is she never applied for the role.
Oh
It's actually her father that applied for the role of Sunny,
oh
but sent a family photo. And in
oh
the back, I could only see her sane.
yeah.
And she just like looked of the age. And of course, we emailed back, just to be gracious. It's like, oh, like, thank you for your submission. Just out of curiosity. Like, how old is your daughter?
Yeah.
And is she potentially, interested in acting?
Yeah.
And she was the same age as I had written Hannah.
Oh
And
okay.
so, it's a stroke of luck, really. It feels like how I met all my actors that
Mm.
plays the roles of the Lee family. It all feels really, I feel like I got very fortunate. But Sane, who doesn't have an acting background, who hasn't done, much performing arts, the video she sent in was her doing Taekwondo, which I just found out recently that she's a black belt.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I just saw this toughness in her,
Yeah.
the scrappiness in her, but also the sensitivity, and her eyes just draw you in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, even when she was put on when she did her audition video, it just felt really natural, and I couldn't yeah, like to me it was instantaneous. I knew that Sane had to play the role of Hannah, despite the inexperience.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with child actors, not child actors, but non-actors before.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my short films actually. So then I felt confident enough to work with her, um, and really I didn't have to do much because she was just great.
Yeah, I
I don't know
think
if it's those eyes. Like maybe like I'm like telling her, hey, like think about this like deep thing.
yeah.
And then maybe she's just like thinking about something completely random, like what am I gonna have for lunch? But
Yeah,
her
yeah, yeah,
eyes are
yeah.
just so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
invites you in.
It invites you in, and also like I feel like there's a lot like she's thinking about behind those eyes. Like when she's looking at her dad, or like you can a sense of judgment maybe, but like I feel like children are also they have no filter,
Hmm.
and so um yeah, like one image that stands out to me is when she is this a spoiler? I don't can I spoil it? Like when she's
I
shouting at
think
her
so.
dad
Yeah,
near
yeah.
the end,
Yeah, yeah,
she's telling
yeah.
him like just saying it all, laying it out there,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But she like her eyes, her gaze like never leave him. Like she's in control,
Yeah.
which I was like, wow, this kid is phenomenal. Like
That's
she's
good to
owning this
hear.
scene right now.
I love to hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she's a very quiet
Mm,
kid, and of course, the daunting task of being in front of a big camera with like all the crew and being able to show that emotion, which took a while to get there, but I really commend her courage and bravery to be able to put that out there and trust me and the film, the crew.
mhm.
Uh, she's just really brave and she's like the sweetest person.
I think she's gonna go far. Like I feel like this is her big. Well, big break. I mean, like this is her first role,
Yeah.
but I can totally see her continuing this because she seems really, really talented.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
she's gonna make it big if she continues on and
Yeah.
chooses to act.
Yeah.
Then I really feel like, this like everyone calls it like, oh, you have a thing or like you're special, but really like I think it's one of those first times where I felt like, oh, like you actually have
Yeah.
something. Maybe it's
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
how you look, but then it's really those eyes. Like I
Yes.
I keep referencing these
Yeah.
eyes, but like it just invites the audience in.
Yeah.
Um, they're quite special,
And so much of her scenes are she's quiet. She's like in the background.
which is even harder to perform sometimes, you
Yes,
know?
exactly. Yeah. And I don't want to spoil it, but like she's the last chapter, right?
Yes.
And so through much of it, she's kind of in the background or supporting, and then it's finally her chapter. I'm like, oh, this is like, you know, now this is her moment, and this is how she's really been feeling.
Mm.
But even in those first two chapters, she's just kind of there looking, using those eyes as well. I feel like it's still very strong.
She's very observant, I think,
Yes.
in the film,
Yeah.
and it's kind of discreet when it's not focused on her, but
Yes, it's very
yeah, it's
discreet.
always in the background. She's
Yeah.
observing, so then it also begs the question of, what she really knows and what she doesn't know, and how mature she actually is or isn't. Yeah, because I know she also views her own world in quite a surrealistic or dreamlike gaze. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, all a question posed for the
Yeah.
audience.
And I'm curious, the airplane thing that she's talking about, like, she has to swallow 100 airplanes.
Mm.
I'm wondering where that came from. Was it her idea? Was it your idea?
No, it's a bit of like a what would you call it? Like a folk tale or
Yeah, yeah.
a bit of one of these like, oh, you throw a coin into a fountain and you can make a wish type things. Blow out a birthday candle, you can make a wish. You catch 100 airplanes and you eat them,
Yeah.
you take it and then you act out like eating an airplane,
Yeah.
then you can make a wish.
Okay.
And it's the mother tells her that story, and I think she clings on to that, and of course, pursues her own goals.
Hmm. Is this something that was like from your childhood as well? Like
Yeah,
eating on
from my
airplanes?
childhood. I
Okay.
feel like this film, it's like I just like threw in all my childhood things, like the nail cutting.
Yeah.
It's also something my mother did for me.
Yeah.
So, when there's no mother to do that, who's gonna do it? It's the older brother,
Yes.
who has that tender side to him,
Yeah.
the motherly side.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of things imbued within the film that's from my childhood.
I do want to just touch on the dogs.
The
The
dogs.
dogs in the film.
The
Because,
dogs.
I mean, we went through all the cast, and, one of them, the dogs. How was it working with them, acting with them, wrangling them?
Oh. I wish I could say it was lovely. It was the most challenging part of the film
I bet, yeah.
was the dogs.
Yeah.
A pretty big director out in Korea heard I was doing this film,
Okay.
and he found out that I was working with a child actor and dogs, and he kind of did that same thing with his first feature as well.
Oh.
And then so he would say, "Wow, that's so brave of him. Good luck." And I didn't know what I was in for when he said that, of course, but I quickly found out that, you know, thank God I had Sane that was, really helping me out and carrying me through that time. But these dogs are something else. These
Yeah.
dogs, we had a lot of wranglers and trainers, and they were like, because the most dogs we had on set, um, on the highest
Yeah.
dog day was 14
Okay, yeah, that's
dogs.
a lot of dogs to
Yeah, so
wrangle.
like the trainers and like the wranglers that are required to plan this sequence out and these actions out specifically, also with a little girl involved. Um, we invested a lot of money and time to try and be as prepared as we could. And there are times as we were getting closer and they would like send us progress, videos and things like that. We're like getting a little bit of confidence. I'm like, oh, I think this could work out. And then you get to set and nothing works out.
It goes out the window, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like these dogs who are in whatever the trainer's backyard or familiar backyard that they're working in,
Mm-hmm.
they're familiar with that, and maybe it's not as interesting and new to them versus when they're in this new
The
sets
forest.
and forest, and every like little squirrel or bird
Mm-hmm.
catches their attention,
Mm-hmm.
and they just want to roam around and play.
Yeah.
I think it kind of destroys everything you've prepped for.
Yeah.
So these dogs were very cuddly. Love dogs,
Yeah.
but in terms of the challenges of just the actions we wanted them to do is quite difficult. And of course, being a lower budget independent film, to make that work, that many dogs, yeah, we definitely had to sacrifice a lot elsewhere to really allocate a lot
Mm-hmm.
into that, yeah, moment.
The wrangling.
The
Yeah.
wrangling and the
Yeah.
training and the
Yeah.
dog treats
It
and
sounds like you had to have like a really flexible crew then also to kind of help accommodate with any challenges like that.
absolutely,
Yeah. So I just wanted to
absolutely.
ask like how was it working like for the cinematographer, for example, like him having to film dogs like if they're not, doing landing on their mark, barking at when they're supposed to bark. Like how does that work and how was that like relationship you working with the DP
Yeah,
throughout
Gerald, my
those?
DP,
Yeah.
Gerald Lim, we've worked on a short film together in the past, so I think he also has a director's mind. So
Mm,
I think he has been the ideal partner for me. We butt heads, but for the sake of the story,
mm,
when we butt heads, I think it's a good thing because it always ends up in a place that's even better than the original intention.
mm,
Um, and yeah, just like the most wonderful guy. He really, really, I knew that the film would be set up where it has different, aspect ratios to convey different things in each chapter. But Gerald really, when he brought in the specificity of certain camera movements and
mm,
refined the ideas that I had, I think it really sharpened the visual language to support each character's point of view
mm,
and tell the story in a way that's far better than what I could have imagined by myself.
mm.
So, um, Gerald Lim, he's
Gerald.
amazing, and he also has a dog, a
Oh,
Pomeranian,
oh,
uh,
that's not gonna be in
and
the
named
forest.
Sago, and yeah. So then, working with dogs, he's a dog lover, and I think he was quite patient,
Okay, that's good.
surprisingly,
That's good.
when the dogs didn't hit the marks,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we just adapted to what the dogs were repetitively doing every take.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite, get them to hit their marks all the time. So
They
we
were the
adapted.
directors.
They were the directors. They're like,
Yeah.
no, shoot us this way.
Yeah.
We want to move this way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay if I do the thing? Okay. We're gonna use the popcorn bucket for questions. What's a film that you think should have a sequel and what would it be about?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I feel like the first film that maybe just randomly pops into my mind is Old Boy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I feel divided because Old Boy is like so incredible by itself,
Yeah.
but also I kind of want to know what happens at the end
Yeah.
as he continues his life's journey
Yeah, yeah.
after everything that's happened.
Yeah. But what would that sequel even be? Right?
More grief, perhaps?
Just going deeper.
Just going deeper and
Yeah.
deeper. Like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was already at the bottom, so,
Yeah.
how does he surpass that even?
Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
he go even deeper and what
Yeah.
would that look like?
Yeah.
Is that an even longer oneer and
Yeah.
beating up more bad guys?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, like I find that psychologically he's put in such an interesting place by the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting the character's name, but
I don't remember.
yeah, I almost, I don't know. Old Boy, of course, is one of my favorite films.
Mm-hmm.
I love Park Chan-wook films,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I'm just wondering what happens after
I feel
everything that's happened to you if we were to put more length onto that film.
Yeah. I feel like one of the opening images in your film reminded me of like a film like the image of the person crawling towards the house with the bed sheet on.
Oh
It was
yeah,
just so creepy and
really?
eerie that I
You thought it
thought
was creepy and eerie?
yeah, it's pretty ghostly
I love
looking.
that.
And so it reminded me of like one of his films and
Park Chan-wook's films?
yeah, I don't know,
Oh,
'cause it
thank
has like
you.
a has like a eeriness to it,
Oh,
right?
thank
Like
you.
a yeah, so that's what
That's a
I
huge
can see the
compliment.
references.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Okay. What film character would be the worst roommate and why?
These are good questions.
These are really specific questions.
Yeah. The worst roommate?
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
just
let's say from your film.
my
Yeah,
film?
let's say your film. Yeah, what film character would be the worst roommate?
Oh. I feel like Laura maybe? The
The family friend mom?
yeah, the family friend
Yeah,
mom.
because she was gonna bleach
She was gonna
Hannah's
bleach
hair.
her hair,
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
and she's obsessed with the church,
Yeah.
which is not a bad thing. It's more so just you know,
The pressure of
it's
it,
like
maybe.
she's the type of person that will like really just like force you there
Yes, yes,
and make
yes.
you sit
Yeah,
down
she's like gripping your
despite
hand
whatever
while
your
you're there.
beliefs are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just really just like, throughout the worship, 1 hours, 2 hours, whatever it might be. She's
Yeah.
just like really in it
Yeah.
and kind of lives in her own planet, doesn't she? So
Yeah, she
I would
kind of
just I would
does.
just really wonder, oh, if we were roommates, what would we relate, what would we relate to with one
Yeah.
another?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
Rubber ducks?
so yeah, I think yeah, maybe she's the worst roommate. Probably. Or the dogs.
Top of my head.
Okay, one more? Let's see. Ooh, what film soundtrack do you secretly dance to when no one's watching?
Movie soundtrack?
Yeah.
Dance to?
Yeah.
Huh.
What's a good one?
These are really hard questions.
No one's watching. Or like, do you have a favorite film soundtrack?
I have, I feel like I'm the type of person that thinks I think I like to dance, but I really don't. I feel like I'm more of like just zen and
You're like
read a
a head
story.
bobber like
Yeah.
this. That's
Like um like Sakamoto or Ghibli like music
okay,
like is
okay,
what I gravitate towards more.
okay. Not dance. Do you dance to those?
Not really.
Okay.
I think I'm just like writing or
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
relaxing to it.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
dance, dance. I don't know. I just think of
Oh yeah.
Quentin Tarantino films
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really
yeah.
kind of makes your like head bob.
Yeah, yeah,
I can't
yeah.
even reference like one specific song, but it's like Pulp
Yeah,
Fiction
yeah, yeah.
or um I don't know. Yeah, he has good taste in music.
He does. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's one of those things where like I wish I had better taste in music to
Well,
put into my films.
okay, no, your film has really good music though, the composers. Let's just touch on that.
That's
Like,
them.
yeah, no. But how did you find them and who are their names?
Oh, okay. So Jude Shi and Taeyang Yu were partners.
Mm.
They're both based in LA. How did I find them? My friend Christina Yoon, who's also she's a Korean American filmmaker. She had worked with them, or sorry, Jude specifically, on her grad film. Uh, and so I talked to Jude, found out that his partner Taeyang is also a composer. She's Korean, and I thought that because she was quite familiar with traditional Korean instruments,
Oh,
that she would be really great.
yeah.
But I really also love Jude's sensibilities, and of course, because they're partners, I thought that they could create something really wonderful together if they put their talents together and
Mm,
their tastes together. It was their first time working together and
oh,
collaborating, so
cool.
I think yeah, they really made some beautiful pieces for Mongrels, and really grateful for that.
Yeah, I feel like that was another thing that stood out to me was like kind of the progression of the music as
Mm.
it leads up to like the end when she has the flute.
Mm-hmm.
But the drums as well, like the sound of the drums.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, that's a unique sounding drum. Like I haven't heard that before, and I guess it was traditional, maybe.
It was traditional.
Yeah.
That flute scene, it was live recorded in
Oh.
Korea,
Oh,
and
wow.
I feel so bad. He's supposed to be quite a well-known daegum is a very specific type of Korean traditional flute,
Okay.
and apparently he's one of like the most renowned players in Korea that Taeyong is friends with from
Wow.
high school and middle school, I think.
Okay.
So was able to ask for a big favor. So I
Um,
find that specific, uh, the flute sound. Of course, like there's drums, but that's all just from the library.
okay.
But yeah, like the live recording of that is just really stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that, but
Fun facts.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go watch in the theater again then and hear that live recording.
Are you gonna be in there Saturday?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there Saturday for the world
Amazing.
premiere of
Yes.
Mongrels.
Hometown premiere
Yes, I'm very excited at the Rio. Yeah,
at 8:30.
at 8:30.
Just lay it
Yes.
all down.
Yeah.
So everyone knows who's listening.
But yeah, once it
Be there
this
20
comes
minutes
out,
early.
yeah, they're already
Tell
seen
all
it
your friends,
probably.
families, and colleagues.
Yeah, go
colleagues.
there. But yeah, thank you so much, Jerome, for recording this today with me and being
Thank
here.
you.
Congratulations again on the film.
Thank you.
Very, very excited. And yeah, have a good VIFF.
Let's have a good VIFF together, Natalie.
Yes, have a good VIFF. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the VIFF Podcast. Thanks to our community broadcast partner, Tell Us Story Hive, for their support. If you're enjoying the show, please rate and review the podcast, and be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Visit viff.org to learn more about the Vancouver International Film Festival and see what's on at the VIFF Center year-round.